I focus on what is good in my world. I realize that what I focus on expands, and therefore I choose to focus on what is good and beautiful in my world. I focus with gratitude on what I have in life rather than on what might be lacking. In the process of acceptance, many blessings come my way. If I notice a problem, I turn my attention toward its solution. Taking action is a form of focus that leads to manifestation. Turning my awareness toward an issue or person increases its power. So I am thoughtful about where I focus my attention. What I apply my attention to increases. I find my own center by focusing on the spirit.
At the moment, I would say that I'm focusing on health and wellness, not for any illness, just for health and wellness, or bringing that back up to the surface, back up to focus. And what I notice with myself is that when I focus on health and wellness in any aspect, whether it's nourishing positive things like this book group or a yoga practice, or being more mindful of what I eat and how much I eat, and getting enough sunshine out in the garden or something, that I find that one always leads to the other for me, that it always becomes like increases like. So what I focus on always increases. When I focus on those things, on those positive things, I notice that it always increases for me. Said like increased like just focusing on the good in my world, or what I can do in my world to increase health and wellness, emotional, physical, all of it.
Beautiful. Yeah. I mean, if you were focusing on, all my problems or my illnesses or my thing, even though if someone does have those situations, they need to take care of it, but to focus on it and dwell on it is contrary to what you really want, because you want your health to improve. You want that good diet to happen. Thanks for that. And you as a nurse, I'm sure that's focusing on health is always, because you probably come across people who aren't healthy. And so it's easy to maybe see all the problems that people have, or our own problems. Thanks so much. So Paula, what about you? What are you choosing to focus on these days?
Well, it is interesting. A couple of days, they just, they're increasing my rent by $300 a month. And I can afford it right now, but down the road, I might want to make some changes, to that, because I don't necessarily want all my income to go towards my rent. And so I went online and I was looking at, well, how does my rent compare to everybody else in the community? And it was pretty much on line with everybody else. It was definitely on the lower side, which is a blessing. And so once I saw that, yes, it is kind of in line with all of that, then I basically let that go. And I decided that I would let that idea of trying to improve that just go for now, and not get not obsess over that. And so and because I just know that the right thing will come up eventually, when it's the right time, and everything will be good, because that's been my experience in the past. It's not just wishful thinking. It actually does work out that way. So that was what I something that I had been focusing on, and now I can move on to other things. I can just kind of shelf that for a while and figure that it'll just work itself out in the background.
And you can focus on your own prosperity, because you can fortunately afford it now, and you shall. Mm-hmm. And may you always be able to afford it.
Yeah.
Never raise your rent too high, But that's really good. And by the way, I have been reading your book and I absolutely love it. It's called Guided to Higher Realms. And Paula has had some amazing experiences in her life. And who would know, except got her book and I met her and I decided to focus on Paula. Like, she lives in my community. So I said, I'm going to meet this person. And it turns out she has an amazing story of her own experience with meditation and going through the various, going through way more than just the 7 chakras or 8 or however many, but it's just like, oh, I'm so fascinated. And I really hope that we can, that you will work with us at some point and teach us what you've been learning about meditation. And maybe we can do that in person and develop something together, because I'm really impressed with, your experiences.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, we're going to definitely be getting together more often. And now that I know you live on the same street as our studio, and exactly like you're just a beeline to where Augustina is. So, and Augustina is a wonderful artist too. So, August, what is your focus these days?
I guess I've been trying to be more grateful for everything. And by doing that, I'm focusing on the good things. It made me think of the things that I take for granted, like Christina was mentioning, health. Health, we usually take it for granted, like, oh, I'm able to walk, I'm able to breathe fully, and something happens, and then you don't have that anymore, and then you realize how important it is. But by like saying like, hey, everything's well, like stopping for a minute and acknowledging how everything is going, it's like makes me think of the things that I take for granted. And I really like that in your family you give thanks before eating, and it's something I've never done before. So I'm kind of like, it's nice to stop for a second and think of the moment, I guess.
Well, it's also, yeah, it is. There are so many things that we have to be grateful for. And as we look around the world and we see things that are going on in the world in this day and age and lately, it's kind of shocking to realize what people are dealing with. And so to be able to just appreciate the simple basics of life. And that's why our family, our kids, when they were growing up, they all had to endure, we'd be out at a rare moment at a restaurant even, or at home, but we'd have to sort of do our little hand hold and bless the food. We didn't necessarily own at the restaurant or anything, but, it was just an opportunity to be able to express our gratitude and appreciation, praying to God or Goddess or Mother Earth or whoever grew the food or who brought the food, or, just appreciation, I think is pretty cool, to be able to take that and to appreciate the things that are good in our world, because there is so much. And although today there's a lot of weirdness going on, and I can see people losing a lot of sleep over it. I used to do that. I remember during the Gulf War, it was the first Gulf War, and I was so worried, just thinking about these poor people who were getting bombed. And I remember going to a concert. I may have shared this story before, but it was these women singers, and they were saying, one woman said, oh, isn't it terrible what's going on in the world? But I have the perfect solution. I wake up in the middle of the night and worry about it. Right? And who does that? I mean, sometimes we let things that are happening in the world outside of us really affect us inside. And that's okay to a certain extent if we're going to take action, if it's going to motivate us, but we don't need to sort of carry it around. And I think that's what we're dealing with in this time period, that we really need to strengthen ourselves and focus on what's good and positive in our world, because there certainly is a lot. And there is a lot that needs to be changed. And one of the things I appreciate about that affirmation is that it's, I can't remember how I phrased it, but it's something about, and then I take action. And so then you're focusing on the action, and that's a form of manifestation. So you're not just saying, I accept it all, it's all fine and perfect. It isn't. It isn't all fine and perfect. So we have to notice things that aren't, and then we have to take action. So I really appreciate all the women who are rising up these days, and just, the teachers and the blessed children who are struggling with their fear of even going to school, for fear of being shot. It's just a crazy time. And I just think all hands on deck. We need to be there for all these people, and especially the children. I just can't even imagine, growing up and trying to go to school and not knowing, doing shooter drills and so it's a process. It's a big deal that we have to.
My experience is that when I take action to try to make something happen, like not just thinking about wanting things to go a certain way, but if I have a feeling that, yeah, this is possible, like this, this is something that I'd like to see manifested. If I take action, I take the first step forward, and I take those first step forwards, it's almost like the universe shows up, and it's like in front of me, there are all these dominoes lined up. And as I take action, it opens up another door, and it opens up another door, which opens up another door. And the universe is there to help you along. But it won't happen unless you commit yourself to doing something and to taking those steps forward. So that's been my experience, that it really works for me.
Actually, you are absolutely right. And I think that's the thing that Dean and I have discovered is that, just moving forward, having a path, having a focus. What direction are you headed? It's like Deepak Chopra said, this ocean of infinite possibilities is behind you. And if you're blocked by fear or just inability to go forward or have a direction, it's frozen, it's waiting. But as soon as you take that step, it moves into action, and then everything starts to come together. And so I don't know how it works, but I do know that it does. It's amazing.